Okay, I have some new JKS front lower control arms. So I'm going to be replacing these stock control arms, which have served me well, but they've taken a lot of shots. You can see that one of the mounts there, actually both the mounts have taken some pretty good hits from rocks, but I believe I'll be able to get the 21 millimeter socket on that bolt. So basically the Jeep is up on frame, on jack stands on the frame, and then I've got a jack stand on the axle, and the directions say to start with the passenger side. So I'm going to be removing the passenger side control arm first, and then if need be, because these new JKS control arms are 3/8 of an inch longer, I'll probably have to use a pry bar and pry the axle forward a little bit. And in some cases, I might even have to undo the track bar. So if I need the flexibility, I'll have to undo the track bar as well. So we'll see, but this is where we are. The new control arms are pretty beefy. I think each one weighs slightly over 11 pounds. Okay, just removed the bolt there for the front lower. Had to take the hammer and just kind of hammer her down a little bit. I run the Rancho lower control arm skid plates on there. So the bolts that come with that are 22 millimeter head, and the nut is also 22 millimeter. So now I'm working, the bolt is out on the body end, but because of some of the damage from hitting rocks, looks like I got to give it a little bit of persuasion to get that to drop out. Okay, the control arm is out. You can see I'm looking at the underside right here. Boy, I'll tell you, these are stout though. You gotta give Jeep some credit for these. They've taken a beating. They're definitely dented up really good. You can see right here, maybe even it's dented a little more than it should be. But the cleveite bushings, well, they're showing some wear too. So this is a good move to change these, but I am pleased with them. I thought for the amount of rock crawling that I did with them that they really held up well. There's the comparison shot. The stock versus the JKS. You can see that the JKS are in fact a little longer. But when you compare the front lower control arms to the back in regards to the stock ones, you can see that the front actually are pretty stout. But these have seen some better days. So doing the passenger side first, and the indentation here, the dent, the bend, that goes in and it goes towards the front. Okay, I have in order to get the passenger side in, I had to undo my track bar. So in order to undo my track bar, I had to undo my steering stabilizer that you can see and remove it from that collar that goes on the tie rod. That gave me the flexibility to shimmy the front axle forward a little bit. And it's extra tricky in my case because you can see I'm lining up the spacers and that Rancho lower control arm mount skid plate. But after a little bit of wrestling, that side is done. So now I'm going to move over to the driver's side. And all you do here is you just keep these loose for now. And then when everything gets put back together and she's on the ground, then we'll torque these to 125 foot-pounds. And then I'll have to wrestle with that track bar. Okay, front lowers are out, and you can clearly see that there's such a bend in the passenger side that it most certainly must have shortened the bar a little bit. So this is looking at the top side, okay? And then if you look at the bottom side, you can see the kind of damage that these things have taken. Happy to replace them. Kind of a wrestling match to replace them. It's not as easy as you might think. Like if you had a second pair of hands, or if this thing was up on a lift, I'm sure it would be easier. A little bit of a struggle doing it in the garage on the floor. All right, I just got the driver's side lower control arm in. And like I've been saying, I got little pry bars and whatnot, but the big thing was getting the track bar off of the axle. That allowed me some flexibility. So now, with the control arm bolts in on both the driver and passenger side, now the trick will be getting the track bar mounted back up. So that's what I'm going to be working on next. It's amazing sometimes that a job that you think is going to be so simple can sometimes fight you. So anyway, I want to get these wheels back on. The track bar bolt is in loose. Both lower control arm bolts are through, just hand tight. So now we'll lift this up and get the wheels on, and then set her down on the weight and get this stuff torqued up. See how the steering wheel looks. I might have to adjust the drag link, but this was a good thing to get out of the way. I don't know, maybe in this thing for about an hour and a half. All right, I have torqued both sides of the lower control arm, driver's side and passenger side, torqued to 125 foot-pounds. Now I've got to torque that track bar nut. So my bolt is a dual. There's a flag behind that. It's a flag nut, and that torques the track bar. And then that washer goes on like this, and then my steering stabilizer mounts to that, and then goes across and mounts on that collar on the track bar. So right now I want to torque this to 125 foot-pounds, and that's an 18 millimeter nut. All right, happily, after 2 hours, the lower control arms, the JKS, are in. Track bar is reattached, torqued to 125 foot-pounds, reattach the steering stabilizer. We go over here, we can see the lower control arms, just beautiful, really big, and all secured. So 2 hours, now I gotta take it for a test drive. Kind of interested to see how the steering wheel is, if I'm going to have to adjust the drag link at all, because obviously these lower control arms by JKS are 3/8 of an inch longer than stock. The idea being to correct some of the caster and help with the pinion angle. So hopefully I experience a very good ride. So I'm excited about it. All right, just pulled Recon 1 out. Going to take it for a little test drive down to the center of town and see how it feels, if I notice any difference. And most importantly, just see how my steering wheel is, if I need to adjust the drag link. Well, she's basically driving exactly like it was. I don't really notice any difference in my steering wheel. It's pretty damn centered, so I'm going to call this a success. Driving nice, just basically beefed up my front lower control arms, my rear lower control arms, reattached the skid plates that I have. So I look at this as a great success because it's just such a good quality control arm. Much bigger and beefier than the stocks. All right, turning around and heading back to the barn. Recon Jeeper out.